Just think about your day so far. Maybe you bought a coffee, tapped your card to get on the bus, or even clicked agree on a new app. Every single one of those things was a promise. Our entire world is basically built on this giant invisible web of promises, big and small. But what really makes any of that stick? What gives a simple promise its weight? What's the fundamental point of this huge, sometimes really intimidating legal system we call contract law? Well, that is the big question we're going to unpack right now. So, when you think contract law, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's this idea that the whole system is there to act as a kind of shield for the average person. And honestly, that's a totally understandable place to start. It just seems logical, right? We're always hearing about laws that protect us from, say, a faulty product or some kind of deceptive advertising. So is that its main job? To look out for us? And look, there is absolutely truth to that. Laws that are tied to contracts do all of these things. They lay down the rules for safety, they give us the power to push back against shady sales tactics, and they make sure there are ways for us to get our money back when a deal goes south. But here's the twist. While protecting consumers is a massive, super important result of the system, it's not the system's core function. It's a powerful and really positive side effect, but it's not the fundamental reason contract law was built in the first place. Okay, so if it's not mainly about protecting the little guy, what about some of those other big, lofty ideas we connect with the law? These are gigantic pillars of any functioning society. So you'd think contract law's main goal has to be tied up in these huge principles, right? Like making sure you actually own the house you paid for, or pushing for fairness in the workplace. And again, just like with consumer protection, we're on to something here. Contracts are, without a doubt, the essential tools we use to do things like transfer property, and they're the actual documents we use to make employment fair. So yeah, these are absolutely critical applications of the law. But, and you see the pattern here, we're still talking about what the law does, not what it fundamentally is. These are incredibly important jobs for the law, for sure, but they aren't the core foundational mission. To get to that, we have to dig just one level deeper.
All right, so we've kind of peeled back a few of the common ideas. So what's left? What is that single primary purpose that actually makes all that other stuff, consumer protection, property rights, even possible?
The real reason contract law exists is actually a lot simpler, and, you could argue, way more powerful than any of those other ideas. And here it is. The primary purpose of contract law is simply to regulate the relationship between the parties to a commercial agreement. See, it's not designed to protect one side over the other right out of the gate. Its job is to create a stable, predictable framework so that anyone can make a deal with confidence. Think about it like this. Contract law is the official rulebook for a game. It's also the referee. It doesn't really care who wins or loses. It just cares that everybody knows the rules, that they play by them, and that they understand what happens if they don't. Its whole job is to keep the playing field level. So, a neutral rule book. Why is that such a big deal? Well, because that one simple idea has this massive, massive ripple effect across our entire world. It sets off this incredible chain reaction. See, when you have predictable rules that everyone understands, people and businesses can start to build trust. And that trust, that is the absolute rocket fuel for all of commerce. You trust that if you pay for a pizza, you're going to get a pizza. The pizza place trusts that if they give you one, you're going to pay for it. Without that basic trust, the whole system just grinds to a halt. The difference is just night and day. On one side, you've got a world with no solid foundation. It's filled with uncertainty and crazy risks. Deals get made based on who's more powerful, not on what was promised. And the economy just stagnates. But on the other side, with clear rules, you get confidence. You can actually plan for the future. Business thrives. It's this framework that unleashes a dynamic commercial world. And look, that is no exaggeration. This one simple principle, just regulating the relationship, is the bedrock that allows for trillions, and I mean trillions of dollars to move around the global economy every single year. It's like the invisible engine that powers modern life. Which brings us to a final and, I think, really important question. If contract law's main job is just to be a neutral rulebook, how do we end up with all those good outcomes we talked about earlier, like consumer protection or social justice? If the ref isn't picking sides, who in the game gets to decide what's actually fair? And that just goes to show you that this simple, powerful purpose, well, it's really just the beginning of a much, much bigger conversation.